Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Freeport City Council, Monday, May 20th, 2024 at 6 p.m. I will call this meeting to order and declare that a quorum is present and all notices have been legally posted pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. I will ask to rise and we'll ask Mr. Councilman Rosso to lead us in the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, we thank you for another opportunity to come together to make some important decisions. We thank you, Lord, for this council. We thank you for the city of Freeport. Thank you for our newly elected mayor. We thank you, Lord, that you're such a good God, and we just brag on you all the time. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, and you may be seated. First thing on our agenda is citizens' comments. Citizens who have registered with the city secretary prior to the meeting being called to order and desire to address the city council will be heard at this time or the time the item is considered. Each speaker is limited to 4 minutes, regardless of the number of agenda items to be addressed. All speakers must identify themselves by providing their name and residential address when making comments. Speakers making personal, impertinent, profane, or slanderous remarks may be removed from the room and shall be barred from re-entering the meeting. We are going to try to turn things around here. So I want to repeat the last portion of this. Speakers making personal, impertinent, profane, or slanderous remarks may be removed from the room and shall be barred from re-entering the meeting. With that being said, we have only 2 that have signed up to speak. The first one I received was from Mr. Manning Rollerson.
I want to ask a question before you do that. What he just said is unconstitutional by the First Amendment. Everybody has a right to speak. It's unconstitutional. He can't set any limits on a person with the statements that they make unless they're inflammatory or threatening. And at that point, that's an unconstitutional act right there, and you know it yourself. But I got up here this afternoon to say this one thing. Last council meeting, May the 6th, I came. Mr. Rob Ginsky got up here and called me a liar and said I didn't know what 2 + 2 was. At the end of the day, did Mr. Lance investigate to find out the truth? Yes, it's true. So the city government is not doing your work by finding out the encroachment. I done contact the federal government and Cody Pursuit Office to get to the bottom of this because the city's not doing its job. Number 2, yesterday we went out with a bunch of lawyers from Lone Star Legal Aid. Found out every resident on West 9th Street is being threatened by the Port of Freeport not to talk to the lawyers. Why is our citizens being threatened? What are y'all doing about it? What are y'all doing? Mr. Ginsky came in here and lied to you guys. Y'all ain't trying to find out anything about it. But the citizens saying they're being approached by the Port of Freeport, what about the contract? This is important. It's deal with the people's lives. And y'all should make something better out of it. And to set the record straight, because I'm a black man. I'm a descendant of a slave. I know where my natural origins come. There was only 3 black people in the city of Freeport that represented this council. 2 of them are dead and 1 of them is right there. So I resent Ms. Nicole's statement that Mr. Winston is an African American, and he's not, because I know his mother and his father. Let's set the record straight. If you want to build on a strong foundation, let's build on a strong foundation. But don't tell people they don't have a right to say nothing to anybody. because now you're violating the Constitution and civil rights. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Rollerson.
His mom and daddy was Spanish descent. They used to come to my house.
The next is going to be Mr. Thomas Pearson.
Tom Pearson, 110 South Front. I was just wondering, like, when citizens bring up something, say, instance, I brought up about councilman being late, we never hear anything about it. I guess y'all have it in executive session or whatever. So how do we ever find out if anything's ever even discussed, or are we just wasting our breath asking about it? I guess we need to say, can we get some follow-up on this after we make a discussion, or how does that work? Thank you.
Once again, and I'm not dodging your question, but we can't respond at this point.
At what point do you respond?
Ms. Marshall, can we get someone to take the mic?
I got it. Thank you. You're welcome. Good evening, Shonda Marshall, 135 Brazos Landing Court. I just want to start by congratulating our new mayor and congratulating Councilman Rosso on his reelection, and welcoming and congratulating our newest council member, Councilman Jarvis Davis. And I just wanted to offer a few words of encouragement to this council. I know that in the past, since I've been going to these meetings for the last 3 years, there's been a lot of drama, a lot of division, a lot of tearing down each other. And I'm really hoping that this will not be the business of this council. I pray for you every day, and I'm praying that you pray for yourselves. I hope that you guys will work together as a team. We understand that people are always going to see eye to eye on all of the issues or the approaches to get to a solution. But I hope that you guys understand and will work the art of compromise and work together to do what is best for the people in this room and for the people who are watching, the residents of this city. That is how you got here. So we expect that you will not bring your personal differences to these meetings, but that you will be here and be about the business of the citizens. And like again, I said, I pray for you every day. I wish you the best, and I know that this will be a great council. I have confidence in you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. We are going to skip presentation and announcements because the employee of the month could not make it tonight. And we're going to continue on to agenda item number 2. Consideration and possible action on approval of the City Council meeting minutes from May 6, 2024, and the City Council special meeting minutes from May 13, 2024. I will make a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second your motion, Mayor.
We have a second by Councilman Matamoros. Any questions or comments? Any changes or anything need? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item number 3, consideration and possible action approving to remove William Leach from the Freeport Historical Commission and Main Street Advisory Board. Ms. Ana Silvas.
Good evening, Anna Silbus, Main Street Coordinator. Tonight, I am here on behalf of the Freeport Historical Commission and Main Street Advisory Board to request the removal of William Leach from the Freeport Historical Commission and Main Street Advisory Board due to failure to uphold board member expectations and responsibilities. Mr. William Leach is currently serving a 2-year term, which expires on May 31st, 2025. The recent behavior of board member has warranted concerns about board membership. The board member's behavior has become a detriment to the progress of the Freeport Main Street program. As Main Street Coordinator, I have recently received concerns regarding Mr. Leach's behavior, most recently at the Community Visioning Session hosted by the Freeport Historical Commission and Main Street Advisory Board in partnership with the Freeport Economic Development Corporation. Regarding board recommendations on this agenda item, the Freeport Historical Commission and Main Street Advisory Board voted 3-2 at their May meeting to recommend the removal of William Leach. The board requests the replacement for this board position bring diversity in the areas of race, age, and professional expertise to be reflective of our community and support the mission of Freeport Main Street program. Additionally, in the future, the board requests City Council allow the board to review candidates before they are appointed to the board.
Thank you, Ms. Silvas. I will entertain a motion on agenda item number 3.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the removal of William Leach from the Freeport Historical Commission and Main Street Advisory Board.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the removal. Is there a second?
A second.
Prior to any discussion or what have you, Mr. Leach, would you like to come up and speak, or?
William Leach, 216 West Park, downtown area. At our last Main Street meeting, Ana Silvas went through a long list of things that I had supposedly said, done to get to this position. It was a long list. I would say that most of it was taken completely out of context. And because it was such a lengthy list in our meeting, there was no way I could address everything. So I picked one item to give her an example. One of the things that she stated was in the demolition of 208 West Park that I had brought in my own engineer and was arguing with the council and everyone about the demolition and what it would cost and so on. Well, I brought in my engineer because Robert Johnson asked me on multiple occasions to do so. We had discussed it several meetings ago about the demolition, and I didn't understand why, and him and I talked after the meeting, and he said, if you've got a different opinion, if you've got an engineer that will come up with a reasonable plan to salvage this building and rebuild it, he would like to hear about it. After him and I talking and him requesting this from me about 3 times, I believe. I finally did. I brought my engineer over. I called him up. I said, my engineer's available on this day. We all went down, excuse me, we all went down there. I met him down there. He brought representatives from Tuberville Construction. Someone else was down there, and we discussed it all. And my engineer told him that, yes, a reasonable plan could be done to repair the building and so on. What I did was at his request, and yet the Main Street Board is using that against me, saying that I was out of line by bringing my engineer down. I was asked to do so. So it was completely out of context. And pretty much everything else that she stated that evening on that meeting was the same way. Things that I had said at the community planning meeting, taken completely out of context. I've had several people come up and speak at that meeting, here, in my defense, believing that I should be on this board because I have 45 years of experience in the construction industry. As I walk around the downtown, I see it from a different perspective than everybody else. I see the problems that need to be addressed. And that's why I got on the board, to give my expertise to that board. Refurbishing the downtown is not a matter of picking the proper colors and painting the buildings. You have to address the infrastructure first, and you have to address the buildings that need structural repair as well. If all you're going to do is paint them and make them look pretty, you're going to have the prettiest ghost town in America. So I have here, I don't know who I can give this to, Sandra Levy was unable to make it this evening. She wrote a letter, asked me to bring it to you, Mr. Mayor. So, you want it?
Thank you, sir.
The other question I had is the vote that was taken in our meeting. To me, it was questionable. They have a new member on the board who voted against me. I don't even understand why she was allowed to vote, because she has no knowledge of all of these things that Anna was speaking of. And I was under the impression that I wasn't allowed to vote, and I think that that was incorrect as well.
Thank you. If you fill out a paper.
Pam Dancy, South Front Street. This is very upsetting, because I understand what Main Street, I mean, I don't understand, but I see their vision, but I also see somebody that has lived downtown, that's a builder, that knows a lot of expertise. And it's just, what I'm seeing is that it's like, if everybody's not lined up like little soldiers, then you're kicked off of a committee, which I'll probably be kicked off of one here real soon. But I stick to principles instead of personalities, and I just think it's a sad day that we're going to start kicking somebody off because they have because they might have one view, and then you have others that have this view, and because they don't like your view, we're going to kick your butt off, excuse my French, kick you off. I think that's terrible, and I don't think it's very good neighbor to be a good citizen. I just think it's terrible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nancy. Council, do we have any comments you want to add?
I have a couple of comments, Mayor. Oh, actually, I wasn't sure if you were going to read the letter.
I'm sorry?
The letter from Ms. Levy.
I'll get to it.
Okay. I wanted to ask Mr. Johnson if he in fact had asked Mr. Leach to bring his own engineer.
my recollection, back in January, there was a meeting where I brought the EDC's 208 demolition plan to the Main Street Board, and Mr. Leach said that the estimates that the EDC had received were way too high, and he would the EDC estimates were way too high, and that he could, that he could do better. And I said, if you can do this project or find somebody that can give me a better estimate, these are the 3 estimates that I got through the bid process. If you could do something better, I'm all ears. And in various months, he would reapproach me, and I would say, I'm all ears if there's somebody that you can find. But I said, the train's rolling, the board has voted on it. And so Mr. Leach did indeed schedule a time when we could get together, because he was talking about some water leaks from the alley and to his that would, or from the 208 that would affect his building. And the engineers looked at that and also looked at the stability of the building, the one that he brought, and said that it could be saved. But then the question became, at what cost? So there was an ongoing dialogue between he and I, but it wasn't that I was running after him saying, please. It was that the whole thing initiated from, I could get somebody that could do this for way less than the bids you've received.
Thank you for that.
I have a second question, a follow-up question, if that's all right, Mayor. I understand I first want to offer up that apologize for the delay in attending the senior meeting this morning.
Skipping on topic, please.
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
it's the context of my timeliness. And also the EDC presentation on Friday, I was also running a little late, and even here this evening. And the reason I bring that up is because I recall I had a meeting that I was invited to with Mr. Johnson and Mr. Leach and the contractors that are doing the work and the engineers that Mr. Leach had invited. I had arrived probably about 10 minutes late or so, but that meeting was held in 208 in April. That meeting was brought to bear because there was a meeting after the March Main Street meeting in the parking lot where I believe that Mr. Johnson had said, hey, listen, if you have an engineer that can confirm that the demolition of this building will actually be a liability to your building and the others, please have them set it up. And then I think he actually reminded Mr. Leach, I've told you, if you want to do that, I'm waiting. And so I think at that meeting in March, that happened where Mr. Leach was given us, I guess, a firm enough signal that the horse or the train was leaving, so that we needed to get that information. I wasn't aware of it was so much about cost as it was more about the integrity of the building and, for that matter, the demolition. And so that meeting had happened a couple of days later that same week in the month of April. And I mention this only because I wanted to share with the council that I was there and I did see this, and I just want to corroborate Robert's point and Mr. Leach's point. And I wanted to make that point. My question was about that meeting. You can confirm that I was at that meeting.
Yes,
that was held
you were at that
yeah.
meeting.
Okay. That's
I
all
didn't invite you, but you were
Right.
at that meeting.
Well, I'm kind of a nosy Rosie, where if I see people in my, downtown, whether it's an 18-wheeler illegally driving through from the port, I'll take photos and send them to the city manager and the assistant city manager, Chief Howland. They can confirm that. But thank you, Mr. Johnson. I wanted to put on here, I had a question here on why Mr. Leach wants to be on the board, and I think he's probably fairly expressed that. And I want to also share that, in his answer, I was reminded that, yeah, he does have that expertise for us. And that expertise, I've certainly leaned on it as a neighbor. And And I know that the city has leaned on Mr. Leach in the past. I know that Mr. Petty has also leaned on Mr. Leach's expertise. When in last August, we had that gas leak in downtown, which then turned into 6 water leaks and then the street repair. Mr. Leach took time out of his own day to sit back there in the alley and help advise both Centerpoint, the city, and I'm trying to think who else was there. I think it was just the city and Centerpoint at the time, and advising on where the problems were and the issues on where the water lines were and the gas lines were. And I think the city had some maps of where the lines were, and those maps were outdated and nobody really could find them. So again, I just found that was very useful then because the gas leak was resolved. They were at it, I think, almost 24 hours straight. And so I appreciated his expertise on that. And so I believe Mr. Leach when he says he's just trying to offer his knowledge, and really that's all we ever ask for. But the other thing we also ask for, and this is something that Ms. Dancy had mentioned, and this is something we've always espoused really at every board, is that we're looking for new ideas. You know, the EDC board with Main Street with the 8.8 acres, new ideas, different ideas, opposing views to discuss them in a calm, what is it, I think Ms. Marshall had said, in the art of compromise, in a compromising way. And I just wanted to make mention of that those meetings were had. I was there and I heard, and I want to make sure that everybody understood the complexion of those meetings, what was actually said, as well as Mr. Leach's expertise and really what he's ever offered has always been in a helpful manner. But I also want to touch on the last thing that Mr. Leach mentioned, and that was the vote. So I was at the meeting in April, and I think, Mayor, you were there as well. And I had arrived probably about 10 minutes into it, and I had heard that the chair had resigned, and the vice, and another member, Margaret McElhannon and Keith Stumble had resigned in the meeting in April. And I know that Ms. McMahon had come to me after the meeting and had expressed that she had resigned earlier in the meeting and that she wouldn't be applying again, which I was actually disappointed to hear because she's been given a lot of time and energy to that board. And she doesn't even live downtown. But the kicker of it all is that then we had this meeting last week, I'm told, where this vote was had, and Ms. McMahon was facilitating the meeting and also voting. And it's my understanding that if you've resigned, you're not allowed to be on the board, facilitate the meeting, much less vote on it. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that there might have been a mishandling of how that voting process is handled, so that I know in the last council meeting we asked the Main Street Board to go back and vote, but I think that it might have been mishandled, and I wanted to share that with the council as well. And my hope is that everybody just wants to play together and work together and solve the problems together, and that there will be differing views, but that it doesn't require that you get kicked off if you don't agree. And I'm hoping that the council will advise Main Street, now that there's 2 vacancies, that we can have a new board selections, and maybe the new board can decide whether or not Mr. Leach should stay or not. But just as a neighbor, as a resident, from what I've seen, he's helped out at every turn in downtown for me personally. And also I know he's done it for the city. He was contacting me when those gas leaks occurred, and I think Mr. Petty might be able to confirm that as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Ms. Silva, would you like to respond to that?
So regarding Miss Margaret McMahon, who is our current chair, and Mr. Keith Stumbog, they both mentioned to the board that they had no intentions of renewing their membership on the board after the expiration of their current term, which is May 31st, 2024. That was the discussion that was had. And also regarding this whole conversation, it is not strictly regarding knowledge and expertise and the 208 demolition. It's also about conducting yourself as a professional board member and promoting harmonious and respectful relationships with others, and being aware that your words and your actions and behaviors define how others in our community view our board and program as well. So just as a clarification, Ms. Margaret and Keith are still on the board until the end of May is when their term expires.
Thank you, Ms. Silvas, for clearing that up. Council, does anybody else have any comments?
Yes, Mayor, I do. So I was at the community visioning session, and I visually saw the actions of Mr. Leach. And we were at the same table. It was a discussion that was going pretty good. And it then devolved into a degrading of our city officials on upkeep of downtown. It then went to downtown is not getting assistance, and it just went further. And so as I was there, I asked Mr. Leach, this was not the time to speak about the items that he was bringing up. We had a particular set of goals that we were looking at, and yet he continued. And it turned away people who were interested in that table. And so it got me to thinking. I reached out to quite a few board members, and they all said the exact same thing. The meetings that Mr. Leach is in, they get out of hand because he wants it his way, to self-serve. And so it just made me think about all members of the boards are appointed to serve at the will of council. They're a representation of us. And after that meeting and speaking with the members of the board, I felt that he is not he would not be a reflection of me on a board. And so I then had a discussion with a couple of those members, and they then decided that they, as a board, would like to have Mr. Leach removed. And so, but yes, I am not insane. I did see and visual all this actions at the community visioning session.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have one other comment, if I may.
Okay.
I was wanted to go back to the qualified votes for the last Main Street meeting. I'm glad that Ms. Silvas had clarified that, in fact, Ms. McMahon was actually still a member and can vote through the end of May. I was not aware of that, so I'm glad that that was clarified. And but the other clarification that was given to me was that Mr. Leach had mentioned to me that he was wrongly disallowed to vote on the matter, and he should have been allowed to vote. That said, had he been allowed to vote, it wouldn't be on the agenda tonight, because the vote would have been 3-3 with everybody that was in attendance. The vote, as I understand it, was Ms. McMahon and Ms. Irene Acanyas, and I believe Ms. Lucy, I forget her last name, were voting to remove Mr. Leach, but those that voted to keep him on the board were Miss Betty Alcala Lopez and also Miss Melanie Oldham. And had Mr. Leach been rightfully allowed to vote, his vote would have been a third, and it would have been a tie, which would have killed the motion. And I want to make sure that the council was aware of that it would not be on tonight's agenda without that. Thank you.
Thank you. I am going to go ahead and read this letter that I received from Ms. Levy. It says, "Dear Mayor Kane, City Council members and citizens, I am unfortunately unable to attend tonight's meeting because of a family engagement. My name is Sandra Levy, and I live at 311 West Broad in Freeport. I am interested in speaking about the removal of Bill Leach from the Main Street Board. First of all, let me say that I attended the Main Street meeting, and I was surprised to see not only our mayor, but our police chief and our city manager at the meeting. I understand our mayor being there, but I was somewhat confronted by the presence of the others. As citizens, we ought to have the right to speak out if we disagree, and the discretion of the board is heeded without being intimidated. Let me point out that this board has previously requested the removal of two other members, Sandra Barbary and Sandra Woodwicky, both of whom have extensive knowledge of both Main Street and our program. The reason for their removal was because of missing meetings, although there have been many other members who have missed meetings without being removed. I feel that removing people, especially those who have so freely given of their time to the city, is wrong. I've known Bill and his wife Denise since they moved to the downtown area some 20 plus years ago. I've served on the Freeport Downtown Retailers Association with he and Denise, and they were also volunteers for the first Main Street Commission. Working countless numbers of hours on projects and events, Bill has a vast knowledge of not only the infrastructure, but also the history of issues that surround owning property or a business in our downtown area. I've always known him to work well with others and to volunteer both his time and talent toward the betterment of the downtown area and the city. One of the founding principles of the Main Street program includes working with property owners and getting commitment from them to join forces to effect change. Removing members who are owners and have knowledge and experience doesn't promote that spirit. Might I also point out that one of the 3-2 split vote who voted for removal was attending her last meeting with the board, and one was a new member. The other 2 members both voiced positive comments about Bill and voted to leave him on the board. I respectfully request that you vote to leave Bill on the commission, as he is the only one of 2 members of the board who owns property downtown, and the members with the most knowledge of all the issues that downtown has faced previously. Signed, Sandra Levy. You know, my take on this, I feel like our boards, our committees, our council should work together as a team. And if we are unable to work together as a team and someone is distracting or not representing as we expect them to, then the proper procedure should be a vote taken by the board before it's brought to council. Ms. Silvas brought us this to council at the last regular meeting, and we had asked her to do just what she did. The vote was 3-2. I know there's been a lot of concerns about a new member of the board voting. Well, new members get to vote. Councilman Davis, every agenda item we have tonight is going to get a vote, and his vote is going to count just as heavy as Councilman Pena's, who's been on here for over 2 years. So with that, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of removing Mr. Leach, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion is approved, 4-1. Councilman Pena as a nay.
4-1. Sounded 3-2.
I voted a yay
Yay?
to remove.
Yay, yay,
Yay.
yay?
Yay.
4-1. Councilman Pena being the sole nay. Agenda item number 4, consideration and take possible action to select the position of Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Petty.
Yes, sir. This was brought up at the last council meeting, and I received an email on Tuesday morning from Councilman Pena asking for this item to be placed back on the agenda. I discussed this with the city attorney, and he asked me to go ahead and put it back on the agenda. So I can turn it over to him at this time.
Sure. I mean, typically our policy is to have 2 council members sponsoring any new agenda item, but I felt this warranted at least some discussion since your charter does state that you shall elect a mayor pro tem. At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if you don't. It's if the issue came up where the mayor was unable to preside over a meeting, you would then, if you had not otherwise elected a mayor pro tem, your first action would then be to appoint somebody to proceed over the meeting until you so choose to elect a mayor pro tem. So I think one last discussion item about this, and then moving forward, my suggestion to the city manager was that we follow standard protocols as it relates to putting agenda items on the agenda, meaning 2 council members would need to sponsor it. So I felt it warranted at least that discussion.
Thank you, sir. Council, any comments?
I have a comment. I actually have the handout of the charter section where it shows that the council, in fact, should appoint a mayor pro tem. And let me be clear, I'm not really interested in titles, but I'm not interested in playing just the silly politics that ends up putting the city in a compromised liability position. And so, as was told to me by many other residents and legal minds, that this was in fact something that the council needed to do because it was directed on or written in the charter. And so I'm not sure why we violated the charter in the last meeting by choosing to nominate but then vote against appointing a mayor pro tem. I'm not going to get into the commentary that was added at that time, but you know, we talk about what Ms. Marshall says here, letting the healing begin and trying to look for some compromise. I think we stumbled out of the gates last week, and we can write that for the sake of the city and follow the charter. And we can appoint the mayor pro tem as a procedural protocol that it is. And if there was another qualified city councilman that could be the mayor pro tem, I wouldn't have a problem with somebody else being the mayor pro tem. But as it stands now, I am the only qualified mayor pro tem, city councilman, to be acting as mayor pro tem. And I guess just to guys, I'm not ambitious here. I didn't try to run for mayor. I was talked into, so many things, initiatives here at the behest of residents, and ball's in your court. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Davis.
May I ask the lawyer something?
Absolutely.
I mean, is that legit, what that is?
Well, absolutely. You have a provision in your charter that says city council shall select, and Councilman Pena is correct. He is the only council member eligible to serve in that term. I'm just telling you from the legal side of things, if you weren't to elect a mayor pro tem, it's not like government's going to shut down. Procedurally, the mayor pro tem acts in the capacity of the mayor presiding over meetings when the mayor is absent. That's really the only role the mayor pro tem serves. So there are other ways to handle that. It's up to y'all. I think tonight, if you want to appoint somebody, he's the only eligible person to serve in that capacity, as per your charter. But if you don't, there are other ways to handle presiding over meetings.
All right, thank you.
Council, any more questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion on agenda item number 4 to take possible action to select the position of Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, I'll second.
All right, Ms. Marshall.
Yeah, so I'm a little concerned about this whole mayor pro tem issue. What happens, Mayor, when you can't come to a meeting? Do they cancel the meeting because we don't have anyone to preside over the meeting? I'm also a little concerned that, I know that there is a lot of concern about Councilman Pena's behavior, and that a lot of people feel like he doesn't represent the city in a very positive way. His ward doesn't agree. They voted to put him in office twice. And at the end of the day, he's still representing our city as a councilman, period, whether he's the mayor pro tem or not. I just think that we should follow the rules. If the charter says that he's the only councilman that is quote unquote eligible to be the mayor pro tem, give him a chance. Just like if they're saying that you can select someone to be the mayor pro tem, here's the art of compromise. Sit him down and talk to him. You let him know that if he is going to be the mayor pro tem representing you and this city, he better toe the line, period. Tell him what your expectations are. I think you have that right as a mayor to do such. But the charter, the other councilmen, even though they might be, very well versed, very well refined or whatever, according to the charter, they're not eligible to act as the mayor pro tem. And I feel like we really need to honor the rules and do what is right. I understand that a lot of people have these personal issues with Mr. Pena, rightfully so. However, the charter doesn't say if we don't like him, he doesn't need to be the mayor pro tem. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. Mr. Pearson.
gonna be, what time is the council meeting gonna start? Because he cannot get here on time. I would think
Alright.
that one of the councilmen would be, that would be a question y'all would be asking right there.
Thank you. A question was raised about what happens should I be absent. Can I get the attorney to answer that question?
Sure. Like I stated earlier, if you were absent and you had not selected a mayor pro tem, I think the first item of business before you did anything would be a motion to, appoint somebody to preside over the meeting. It would be that simple.
Thank you. All right, so with that, do we have a motion to approve?
Mayor, I believe everything that we did at the previous meeting was compliant with the laws, the ordinances of our city. So I believe that this item should not be brought up for another 3 months. And we have guidance from our legal that states if you're not here for a meeting, we will just elect a person to run that meeting at that time. So that's my statement. We should move on to the item number 5.
I appreciate that statement. However, on the agenda, it does say possible action. So we're going to ask the question again. Do we have a motion to approve?
Then I'm going to make a motion to appoint Councilmember from Ward A, Jeff Pena, as a mayor pro tem.
We have a motion to appoint Councilman Pena as a mayor pro tem. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilman Davis. Do we need any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor state aye.
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 All opposed state nay.
Nay.
Nay. Congratulations, Councilman Pena, with a vote of 3-2. You did vote aye, correct? With a vote of 3-2, you are the mayor pro tem.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the healing to begin. Thank you.
City Council Agenda Item Number 5, consideration and possible action approving the proposed 2024 annual street lighting plan. Ms. Kramer.
Good evening, Council. I'm here tonight to present to you the proposed 2024 illumination light plan. I was here at the last meeting to present to you our proposed locations. We had 2 changes by Councilman Matamoros, and we revised the map. So I'm here tonight looking for approval.
I'm going to get the ball rolling by making a motion to approve Agenda Item Number 5. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion, Mayor.
We have a second by Councilman Matamoros. Any discussion?
Yes, wait.
Go ahead, Councilman Davis.
All right, this is approving street lights up, right?
Yes, sir.
What was the number of street lights?
Total of 50.
Total of 50? How do we spread them about the city?
In my memo, there's a chart that shows how they have been divided up between the different wards over the different years.
Well, no, I seen it, but I meant like who made that decision? Like
Council approves it.
council approves it? Okay. Well, Ward B gonna need some more lights next year, no. I'm just joking, but
Yeah.
but for real, we only got like 3 lights.
Yeah, but
So I got here late, so next year I'm gonna be looking for some more lights on now.
Ward B was very lucky that they are generally pretty well covered to begin
Okay.
with.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm new, I'm just asking.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Any more questions or comments for Ms. Kramer?
Yes, I was curious to see if we might be able to add any or move some of the lights in Ward A at this juncture.
Sure.
Yeah, I was looking at the map, and right there on 4th Street, you know, I know that we're trying to get as much lighting in the residential area, and for that matter, the downtown area. And I just noticed that in the downtown area, in the downtown zone, that there was a section there that I know is very dark and dangerous, and that's on 4th Street.
We're out on 4th Street.
Between, give me a second here, to get my bearings again here. Between, I guess, Park East, or actually where the fire station is, over to Cherry Street. There's a couple of churches that are there, and I know that's where the fire department is one of their main routes. And it's well lit when the fire truck goes by, but otherwise it's pitch dark. And I'm just trying to ensure that there's no haven for illicit activity through that darkness at night, and just make the downtown a little safer.
So how many lights do you want to put in that, say, block,
If we
block
could,
and a half?
if we, I know right there on Broad, parallel to it, that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights on Broad between Navigation and Cherry. And in this case, there's only 2, so if we can add additional 3, that would be great.
So which 3 do you want to remove from Ward A at that?
Or relocate. I would say the, it's hard to see where, let me look at, where's the Velasco, what is this street here? Sorry, the printout doesn't show what street that is. I guess it's on 6th Street?
If you're looking at for the one with the red,
Yeah.
the pink stars.
I see that. I would say that the ones here on 2nd Street and, what is that, the railroad track? There's 2 there, I guess right by that bridge.
Those were approved last year and in the process. You're looking for the pink ones.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I would say the, let me see here. Well, that's a shame. I don't want to take any away from the 11th Street, because I know there's some families and children there.
The
And,
ones that we've added for Ward A are basically all on 2nd Street.
Yeah, I would say if we could just move 2 of the ones from 2nd Street over to 4th, that would be helpful. Or if there's any other councilman from any other ward that wants to donate too. I really like the idea that the main corridor of 2nd Street is well lit. So I really have a lot of heartburn removing those, but it is very dark on 4th Street, and that is a high traffic route, especially with all the construction on Navigation. So I would just ask if anybody has 3 lights that they can help for the downtown development, and so that it's safer at night.
You know, there's a light there mid-block between Cherry and, what is that, probably Oak?
Between what?
But I'm thinking it's Cherry and Oak. There's one mid-block on 2nd Street. We could maybe remove
Oh.
that one.
Okay.
Maybe remove that one and then remove 2 of the 4 closest to Velasco. Maybe keep the one near Velasco, the one between Cedar and Beach, take that one.
So that gives us 2.
And then remove the one closest to the railroad, between the railroad and Walnut.
I got you.
That'd be the 3 I would remove, and then I'll put 3 in
On 4th.
on 4th Street,
All right.
between Cherry and West Park, or West Park, correct? Or
Yeah.
East?
Between East and West, and then
Okay.
between West and Cherry.
Okay.
That's where it's really dark, between West Park and Cherry. It's almost a full city block there, but That's where it's really dark.
Do you want to bring this back again for approval, or shall I just make the changes?
I'm confident with your ability, thanks.
Anybody else?
Anyone else have any changes or questions or comments?
Thank you, Ms. Kramer.
Hearing none. I'm going to change my motion, if that's okay with you, Councilman Matamoros, to approve agenda item number 5 with the changes that Councilman Pena has made for Ward A.
Thank you, Mayor.
Will be my motion.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Matamoros. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Kramer. City Council Agenda Item Number 6, consideration and possible action on reopening Arbutus Street right-of-way between 2nd Street and Broad Street, and approving the city attorney to draft an ordinance and the mayor to sign, and the city secretary to attest to such ordinance. Ms. Kramer.
This is a housekeeping issue. Back in 1964, they closed that portion of Arbutus between Broad and 2nd. And we've done some recent infrastructure work, and it really needs to be, open if we're going to be spending, money on it.
It's a real nice road to be closed.
Yeah.
I will make a motion that we approve agenda item number 6. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilman Davis. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Number 7, consideration and possible action to close and abandon the alley right-of-way in Block 176, Freeport Town Site, and sell the alley right-of-way to the neighboring property owner, and approving the city attorney to draft an ordinance and deed, and the mayor to sign, and the city secretary to attest to such document. Ms. Kramer.
Yes, sir. So this is, in essence, a housekeeping issue as well. Freeport Apartments, located at the intersection of Broad and Yopon. The apartment complex encompasses the entire block, but I could not find any documentation where our alley right-of-way has ever been closed. The apartment complex had reached out to us about providing a letter that we would not demo any of their buildings, and we kind of can't hold a future council, limit them. So I said the cleanest way is to close and abandon and sell, and then that, kind of takes the city out of that picture.
Cool. Thank you. I will make a motion that we approve agenda item number 7. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Pena. Is there any discussion on this item?
Are we, what's the figure that we're going to sell it to?
$2,100. The city paid for the survey, which was $600, and it was appraised, which is in your packet, for $1,500.
I consider that too low. Because they're going to turn around and sell it and make a profit. I'm not against selling it. I'm not against closing it and then selling it, but I don't want them to make a huge profit off of it at our expense.
Council, any other questions or comments?
Yes, I would just state that the concern about Did this apartment complex bring this concern to you, to the city?
Yes.
Independent? And how long have they been owners? Do we know?
I don't know. I think they're.
Oh, are they here?
in the-
Oh, okay,
in the
wonderful.
audience.
My name is Marina Cervantes. I'm the property manager and the asset manager for the current owner, Asan Satar. So he purchased it in December of 2022.
Yeah, I'd ask the question. Thank you for answering that question when it was purchased. Do y'all own any other properties in Freeport?
No.
Does that, okay. And have y'all made any renovations?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any kind of budgetary,
A little over 500,000 so far.
did you guys get permitted for that?
Yes. And the reason for this is he bought it with hard money loan,
Mhm.
and now is trying to set it with Fannie Mae.
I got
And
it.
this is a refinance issue.
Okay. You know, I know that hard money loans don't do their due diligence on surveys and titles, and so there's the reason why they're high-interest loans, because
Right.
there's less due diligence and it's higher risk. But when you go to a bona fide bank, the bona fide banks with Fannie Mae will require that any encumbrances on a survey are removed. Otherwise, they will not lend on it. So my line of questioning is how long you've owned it and what have you done to improve it. I like to hear that there's investment in Freeport, but I also like to hear that you guys have put in a pretty good amount of money in there, and more importantly, that through code enforcement, that was validated.
Yes, sir.
And so if the city in any way, or anybody here that's with the city that can confirm that this apartment complex did in fact utilize the code department to facilitate their repairs, that gives me that much more of confidence that they're, one, being a good actor, and two, they're not, fly by night. And as far as them trying to recapture any profit from that strip there, I don't know that that particular encumbrance, for as old as it's been, adds any greater value than it was already there. My real question here, this is more of a real estate question, like, I'm surprised that you were able to actually even buy this, because the title company should not have
Dropped the
allowed
ball.
it.
Correct.
They would have said red flag, until you get that removed, y'all couldn't purchase it.
Correct.
And so really, I would say if you guys had an attorney working on your behalf, they should have flagged that and said, hey, until that encumbrance is out, you guys are gonna be in a pickle, so y'all might wanna get with the city first before y'all purchase it and put in all this money. So,
Right, there was an exclusion in the title.
There'd be an exception under Schedule C dealing with this
Oh,
issue.
is it?
So,
Okay.
yeah, the
Yeah.
title company's not going to warrant title for the right-of-way.
okay, so that was probably an exclusion on the schedule?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so I guess we're trying to make sure that we remove that particular language in the Schedule C, is that right?
Well, that's what they're
Effectively-
asking
yeah,
for. is-
effectively, that's what we're trying to
Yes.
do. No further questions, thank you. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Pena. Is there a second? I will second it.
I'll second.
Councilman Davis seconded. All right, any other conversation about this? I feel like this is something that the city fell flat on years ago. And I don't know if y'all can see the map out there. This is a alleyway that goes right through 3 of the apartment complexes. I do appreciate the fact that we got an appraisal instead of just throwing a number out there. And I appreciate the fact that they're willing to pay the amount that we paid for the appraisal as well. So, with that being said, I will call the question. All in favor, state aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Motion passed 4-1 with Councilman Matamoros being the nay. Agenda item number 8, Consideration and possible action by City Council approving the sale of property located at Block 70, Lot 2, Velasco Town Site, and approving the city attorney to draft a deed and the mayor to sign and city secretary to attest to such deed. Ms. Kramer, it's a
Okay.
busy night for you.
Yes, sir. The city was contacted by the adjacent property owner of the subject property with an interest to purchase. It's owned by the city, and that's what we're here to do. We have attached the survey and the appraisal to your documentation, and we are looking to seek approval from y'all. There is no roadway access. It's landlocked, and there are no utilities, and the gentleman that's purchasing it is aware.
Where's this exactly on the map? I'm trying to see.
South Avenue H, like you're heading toward Oyster Creek Division on the left-hand side.
Oh, I see. Off of Velasco.
Yeah.
Well, I will entertain a motion, and then we'll get some discussion going.
What was the purchase price on that we're asking for?
400 is what it was appraised at.
400,000?
No, $400 for a 25-foot lot.
Oh, a 25-foot lot. Oof. Oh, landlocked, yeah.
Is what?
And what's their goal with it?
He's in the audience if you'd like to.
Oh, sure.
chat.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out.
Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm a fifth generation Velasco person, so I'm looking at it for retirement, not to develop it just yet, but in the future, so that's what I want it for.
What is your name, sir? I'm sorry.
David Ellis.
We just recently sold a lot over there off of Avenue H a few months ago to a couple that came out, and it was a landlocked that had a ditch to it. Is that right? Didn't we do that here?
Yes, but he had access from the property behind, it was directly behind him.
Okay. But that was, I think it was for $500
Same area.
and landlocked except accessible to the owner alone. And in this particular case, it's landlocked completely. Same size lot. I'd ask for the same price. It's not much more. That's what I would say.
I'm sure that Mr. Flanagan did it lower because he wouldn't have access to it the way that it currently is, where the other property owner would have access to it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Okay. That makes sense.
And it's my understanding you own the lot right next to it as well.
Yes, sir.
And that's 25-foot lot as
Yes,
well.
sir.
Is that lot landlocked?
Yes.
Both of them are?
Is there a structure on that? Any structure at all? Okay.
A lot of brush, I might add.
A lot.
So council, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, Mayor.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Pena. Is there a second?
Second?
We have a second by Councilman Rosso. Is there any other discussion needed? Questions, comments?
So, as I viewed the packet beforehand, I noticed there's not a street, there's no utilities. You state that you want to build on it at a future date. How are you going to acquire a street and utilities to be able to build that?
That will be in the future, I guess, going through with city planning or city council to develop the street where Avenue H ends, to take it further. I think there's 6 lots left that's not developed. So it would need all the utilities. It would need electrical, water, sewer, and the street.
Correct. And Are you willing to put that money in for
Yes,
that?
sir.
Okay.
Council, any more questions? Hearing none, I will call the question. All those in favor state aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1, with Councilman Matamoros being the lone nay.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor.
Congratulations. Agenda item number 9, consideration and possible action approving the proposal from IAD Architects in the amount of $39,817 for professional architectural and engineering services to design and produce construction contract documents for the renovation of the Pixie Heritage House. Mr. Petty.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff had brought this to council twice now. The first time y'all had asked to reach out for some other architects or engineers, which I did at the request of Kimley Horn, the city engineer. Project Lawn was recommended for additional proposal for the project. They didn't respond. I talked to them on the phone and they never showed up. They were supposed to show up, they never showed up. Brought it back to city council again, and y'all wanted me to reach out to some more firms. So I had reached out to Dantex Designs, Espinal Architects, J. Hanna Design Group, and each firm has been non-responsive. The Pixie House has been inoperable for a number of years. The city in the past had a renovation project completed, and shortly after that time, the building started having issues with water coming into the building that caused damage to the windows, ceilings, and flooring. The city has budgeted $375,000 to make the necessary repairs. This building in the past was heavily used as a rental venue and an additional source of revenue for the city. It is in the downtown district, and it is important not only to have an additional rental space for the public, but to preserve this building for revitalization of downtown. If approved, IAD Architect and Design will be tasked to provide the required documents for advertisement. Staff will bring the proposals back to the council at a later date for selection of a contractor to perform the renovations. It is a budgeted item, and I've had numerous contractors reach out that are interested in doing the work. But per procurement, we have to have engineering drawings and a scope of work to bid this project out because of the cost of it.
Thank you, Mr. Petty. One question that I have, just right off the top of my head, is the city engineer, Kimley Horn, did not want to look at this. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, sir. They don't do that in-house, so they sub that out.
It's a bad look. All right, before we get into conversation, council, is there a motion?
I motion to table this item again and get some additional bids. I can think of two other architects, Gensler, that just did the EDC project, and they charged $25,000 for those 8.8 acres. And here we have this 5,000 square foot lot, 5 to 10,000 square foot lot in this project, and I'm thinking, why are we almost paying twice as much for a property that is a fraction of what Gensler just did? And then if we didn't have any response from those firms, I'm happy to provide additional firms out of Angleton, Lake Jackson, that did work for the city previously. And I didn't hear those names announced, but I'm happy to provide those to help us save some more money.
We have a motion to table by Councilman Pena. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Rosso. Agenda item number 9 will be tabled. You understand what we're looking for? Thank you. Agenda item number 10, consideration and possible action approving the agreement and resolution number 2024-2855 to permanently close at grade public road crossing for West First Street at Railroad milepost 15.435 with the Union Pacific Railroad. Mr. Petty.
Yes, sir. I brought this to council a couple of meetings ago, and council had requested that an engineering study be done on the drainage portion of it. I got with Union Pacific the next day, and they sent over the drainage study. They had already had it completed by their engineers. So it is attached and ready for approval by council, and it will close that at-grade public road crossing located at West First and South Magnolia. They also did state that in the future they will look at, down the road, they'll look at painting our bridge that's rusted in the future. So that's something else I know that the ex-mayor had requested from them. But that's what we're looking for is an approval for this project.
I will make a motion to approve the closing of the crossing. Is there a second?
I'll second your motion, Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion needed?
I have a couple of questions, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Petty, did we have our engineering and or drainage staff look at that report to bless it, to ensure that it didn't create additional problems of drainage or flooding, and for that matter, with the drainage district, the drainage district as well, to get their blessing on this?
Our engineers, but not the Velasco Drainage District.
Pardon me?
Not the Velasco Drainage District, but our engineers, yes.
Okay, they blessed it?
Yes.
They didn't think it created any additional problems?
No, sir. We've got underground piping that goes through there.
Okay, that's all I needed.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none. All those in favor state aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0 unanimously. Agenda item number 11, consideration and possible action for a Freeport Police Department to go into contract with American Red Cross as a training provider.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening, Chief.
We recently had one of our telecommunicators that attended the course to become a CPR instructor. CPR courses are now a requirement for telecommunicators to obtain every 2 years. So to be able to do that in-house at a more cost-efficient, we created to make her an instructor. In addition to, it's not currently mandated for the remainder of our staff to be CPR certified, but I would like to change that, make that a mandate for all of our PD staff, then offer that out to the rest of the city employees in addition to the public. This
Thank
would
you.
allow us the opportunity to do so.
I think that's a great idea. I think it should have been mandatory already. I will make a motion to approve agenda item number 11. Is there a second?
I'll second your motion, Mayor.
We have a second by Councilman Matamoros. Is there any questions or comments on this? Any discussion needed? Hearing none. All those in favor state aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed state nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Chief. Agenda item number 12 is the first reading of the Parks Project. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is the first reading. Throughout the spring of 2024, myself and Lance Petty have approached various large businesses in the local area about contributing to the improvement of 3 of Freeport's local parks. The parks slated for improvements are Peppermint Park, Arrington Park, and Stephen F. Austin Park. These parks were selected based upon need of improvement and use by the public. To date, Phillips 66 has generously contributed to the parks project endeavor. Their generous contribution amounted to $50,000. Parks equipment has been priced And after deducting the contribution of Phillips 66, the amount requested of the EDC to purchase park equipment was $249,789.85. The Freeport Economic Development Corporation is requesting council approval for this joint city and EDC project in the amount of $249,789.85. The purpose of this parks program is to promote quality of life within the city of Freeport and enhance the welfare of the citizens of the city by providing park amenities and resources that improve conditions in the aforementioned parks. I'd just like to remind the council that we discussed this before when Lance and I were going out to solicit contributions. The parks project has removed, we still have a business that's interested in contributing, but they wanted to come in at the tail end. Mr. Petty received, basically there's a sale of park equipment, so we got a really good price on this. So what we want to do is, so that the project doesn't stall waiting on other contributors to the parks project, we divided the parks project so that we would replace the park equipment, the playground equipment with right now, and then wait to do walking trails and walking trails and fencing until we solicit more donations. Part of that project, part of the Part B project, is also to do ADA compliance and look at that, because the potential donors that we have right now are very interested in accessibility, ADA issues. But again, the Freeport Economic Development Corporation voted unanimously to authorize this. Last year, we budgeted $400,000 in our budget, and this $249,789.85 would go towards that.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, and thank you for working on this. I think this will be a great benefit towards the city. I commend the EDC and yourself, as well as Councilman Matamoros,
Yes.
for spearheading this whole project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 13, consideration and possible action approving resolution number 2024-2858, authorizing the application of the Texas General Land Office, the GLO, Beach Maintenance Reimbursement Program, the finance director as the official with full authority to act for purpose of the program. Ms. Ezell.
The GLO Beach Maintenance Reimbursement Program is now accepting applications for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. The application requires a resolution to authorize the application for the program funds and declare an official with full authority to act for the purposes of the program. The Beach Maintenance Reimbursement Fund Program, administered by the GLO, allocates approximately $750,000 per year to help communities keep their beaches maintained. This is about $8.5 million over the last 10 years. Contracts are renewed annually. The city has participated in this program since 2013, and we've received a little over $102,000 since the inception of this program. This fiscal year, we have $12,000 budgeted for that grant revenue. So this is to continue to receive beach maintenance funds for Bryan Beach.
You have on here the financial impacts from 2012 to 2013. Is 2012 when we started
Yes.
this program?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, I'm always for getting reimbursed.
It's you know, it's not a lot, but it helps, and you know, it helps Lance and his people when we are able to come. When we have that $12,000 coming in, it allows us, if there's something else that we can allocate funds to. it's Lance's department and the PD that we have to track whenever they do the beach maintenance and patrol the beaches. We keep, or I should say Rudy's people, sorry. They keep track of all their people, their time, the equipment that is used. So the police department and public works put a lot of work into this to get these funds.
Thank you. Well, I will make a motion that we approve agenda item number 13. And then we have a second by Councilman Pena. Any discussion?
I'll have one comment, is that, I'm really glad that we have this in place so that we can in fact have the improvements to make sure that our beach is safe and clean. And if there's any way we can get any additional money, please let us know.
I will.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll call the question. All those in favor state aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed state nay. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we're moving on to our work session. The city council may deliberate and make an inquiry into any item specifically listed as a subsection under the itemized sections A through F below. An item appearing on the city council agenda for this meeting, on matters related to community events, or on matters that are not within the jurisdiction of the city for consideration by city council. Councilman Pena, Ward A.
Thank you. I first want to thank everybody that came up this evening to speak out and speak up and present to council. As always, I always applaud your participation, and I know it's nerve-wracking, and so I appreciate you guys coming up as always, and I invite every resident who voted in this last election to follow suit. And just, you can watch the videos. There are your next door neighbors that are here. And I know you care just as much as they do. And we can all work together to move Freeport forward. So I'm hoping that does happen. And, and I know that there's been a comment here the last couple of meetings. And I will tell you that I have my own personal reasons as to why I try to pray in private. And also that I say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States, as well as the Texas flag. And if anybody wants to have any personal prayer time with me, I invite them to call me, and I'm happy to do that. Before the meetings, on the weekends, anytime. Prayer is good. And as far as the Pledge of Allegiance, happy to also pay our respects to our country and to our state every time. And I just want to make sure I address that, and invite anybody and everybody to pray with me, and for that matter, pray for me and pray for the city. I think these prayers are working. I think maybe you guys may have seen some of that tonight, but it's at least a step in the right direction. We're not going to do a 180, I don't believe just yet, but hopefully I have hope. I always have hope in Freeport. That said, I also want to make sure that I address the another issue here that I had a complaint from a resident, business owners, that when we had the large trash removal, that Cherry Street and was blocked and part of 2nd Street because of how we had the traffic flow, and it really hindered the downtown restaurant of Sweet Teas, as well as the convenience store across the street, and I believe the barbecue, Arlene's. So I was asked to ask for clarification on that, or for that matter, to help ensure that doesn't happen again. I wasn't sure why that traffic was directed that way, but I wanted to make sure that I brought it forward as was requested of me. That's all I have for now. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Next will be Ward B, Councilman Davis.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank all the residents in Ward B for voting for me. It's an honor, it's a privilege. You know, I saw some things happening here today. This might be one of the best meetings I've been to. But I prayed before I got here. Now y'all stop me if I get out. I'm off track. I don't know. So this is my first time. But I prayed before I got here and asked Jesus to be in the mix here. And Miss Marshall, I was very moved by what you said, and that just was confirmation, you know, that Jesus was in the building. And you know, I thank you for being brave and obeying and standing up and saying what you said. With that being said, you know, I think the healing process is starting today. You know, the ball's in our court. I think the sky's the limit for this board. You know, we need to unite and come together. United we stand, divided we will fall. You know, Councilor Pena, I'm going to be challenging you. You know, and I will give you a call and understand why we need to be up here united when we pray and do the Pledge of Allegiance. But I will give you the respect to call and get your, you know, take on that. But I'll challenge you to get up here and stand with us as we just did with you today. And so, you know, everybody else, hope that we can watch our tongues and on social media and just up here between each other and come together. And I thank y'all for y'all support, all you guys up here that, you know, supported me in the elections and being here. And I'm looking forward to working with y'all.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Matamoros, Ward C.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank all the residents and visitors who attended in person and viewed online. I'd like to also thank those residents who spoke during citizens' comments and agenda items. I guess the theme of the day is when residents get up here and speak, we do listen. We do not comment at that time because we're not allowed to. But I am going to make a comment. It is very disrespectful for a council member to show up late. It's not occasionally, it's every time. It's very disrespectful. And so I would actually like to see us institute a policy where we take a roll call. If you're not here at the beginning of the meeting, you don't get to participate. We all have lives outside of this city council, and we all make it here on time. And it's very disrespectful. Last thing that I want to add is I'm looking forward to the last reading of the Parks project. I have stated that this is something that is near and dear to my heart. And so I'm looking forward to us as a council to approve this project and get it going for our youth, our children of Freeport. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Ward D, Councilman Rosso.
Good evening to everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you guys decided to come, you that came in person, and even the ones that's on the net, on World Wide Web. I failed to congratulate and give my commends to the people that showed up on May 2nd for the National Day of Prayer. Our ex-mayor did an awesome job for that program, Crystal and all those involved. It was a great day, a really great day of prayer. Parks and Beautification, I attended that meeting. I happened to be the liaison for that board. Had it this past week, and everything went fine, and we're on course to beautify the city. Don't forget the Yard of the Month, Business of the Month, all that's in play now. So get busy, because guess what? It's going to get hot. Summertime's coming. Work in the yard while you can right now, because it's going to get hot. I went to bingo this morning. Not that I like bingo. Matter of fact, I don't like bingo. I'll tell anybody that. I don't like bingo. But my wife loves it so much to where being retired, I got to go with her. And guess what? I played, I won the first game. Matter of fact, today is our 46th year anniversary. I want to get to the bottom of this port taking. I want it to stop. It can be stopped. I don't know who can stop it, but I know it was brought up last meeting. It was brought up this meeting, and I think this is the third meeting we've had where one of the citizens got up and said that the port was trying to take more land. They literally said that the one of the commissioners got up and lied to us. So I think we should get to the bottom of this. Whatever it takes, Mayor, for us to get to the bottom of it, so we can stop hearing that same old song. I'm tired of hearing it, and it can come to an end. We can get to the bottom of it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilman. I too would like to thank everybody that came out tonight and those that watch this in the World Wide Web. I would like to congratulate our newest councilman. I think Ms. Councilman Davis is going to do a great job up here. I congratulate you too, Mr. Rosso, but you've been here for a minute. I hope and I pray that this council will hear the words that have been said today, that we need to work together. You know, I heard it from 4 or 5 different people, some of them from the council up here, and then some from the audience. Never once did I hear that I want everybody to vote the way I vote. It's okay. It's okay if you don't vote the way I vote. It's okay if I don't vote the way you vote. We do it respectfully. We walk out and we move on. We are all but one vote. But together, we are the council of the city of Freeport. And I expect all of us to work together. With that being said, Councilman Pena, the next meeting, we're going to invite you at 6 o'clock to come pray with us and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us. You can.
I would only, thank you, Mr. Kane, Mayor. I appreciate that. And I'll just say I would like for the prayer to be done by a non-council member, if we could. Simply because I'd like to have that separation. And, you know, we have wonderful clergy in our city. And I think if they're here, it might also just bring that additional balance. Maybe their church members will come too. And if we can make that request, I'm all for that. Thank you.
If there's someone in the audience at future meetings that would like to lead everybody in a prayer, let me know prior to. I have no problem with that request. Before I hand it over to Mr. Petty, I want to thank my beautiful wife. She was mad at me the other day because I did not thank her for putting up with all the meetings that I'm going to, all the time that's involved in being up here, and for all the hard work that she did during the election that just passed. So I know she's watching at home, but thank you. With that, Mr. Petty, it's all you.
Yes, sir. Just to reiterate, the Parks project is going to be a great project. We already have all the equipment reserved to be shipped. Once the second reading is complete, I'll make the phone call and it'll ship that next day. The installation crew is already scheduled to be here June the 17th to install all the equipment. Yeah, I will be putting out notification to the residents in those areas because they're going to be shocked to look up one morning and all the play equipment has been removed and they think we're shutting the park down, but we've got to get the equipment out there and get all that land leveled off. We'll haul some dirt in and level it off to get it ready for the new park equipment to come in, but we will get that accomplished, and it'll be a quick, smooth process. As far as the port goes, the port documents, they do have verbiage in there for encroachment upon the city. There's rules set aside where they can encroach upon the city in a certain manner, and I did send that to Mr. Rollerson this week for his review at his request. This Friday, City Hall will be closing at 12 o'clock. This is our annual employee picnic that's scheduled every year. They're having it this year at the golf course. It's from 1 to 5 o'clock. We usually have crawfish, and I think they got Chick-fil-A and shrimp and things like that being delivered to the employees out there. We just go out there, play volleyball, have a good time, hang out each year, and that is scheduled for this weekend. Other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. With that being said, we are going to, what time is it? 7:47, and we're going to go into executive session regarding A, deliberation about real property, 1, 200 West 2nd Street, 2, Jim Maddox Properties, Freeport 19 LLC, and 3, OA Fleming Property pursuant to Section 551.072. We are now in executive session.